The National Honours List. Well, yes, you may have seen the list and gone through it if other than just seeing it in the headlines. That's the focus now, all of the talk about it. It looks as though there's always some sort of talk whenever this kind of happens, when the list comes out. Is it on a yearly basis now? Something it looks too fast, and is it biannually? But the list is out anyway, and they will go ahead. Dr. Okey Ikechuwu joins us now. He's a leadership and governance consultant. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, of course, one of the comments that will always trail this kind of stuff is outright criticism about it. Something that they just don't get the rationale anymore behind awardees or awarding these medals to these gentlemen, to the extent that they say they went as far as using the words, it's beginning to look as though it's being bastardized. You think so?
Perhaps.
Oh.
But when you speak of bastardization, my question will be, who is speaking? The concept of national honors is not new. It's part of history. Every nation has it. Britain, ancient Rome, etc. So, and it represents the attempt of a people to acknowledge and reward their heroes, and sometimes their best. So the criteria usually revolve around several indices: achievement, impact on society, impact on public opinion, contributions to human capital issues. Nigeria also has a long history of that. It's not new too. It's been part of our history, given where we're coming from. But then, they really come with the white man, chieftaincy titles, and national honors, so to say, within the areas where they are given, and several other honors. So it's not a strange thing. Bastardization will mean using the wrong criteria or rewarding the wrong people. If, for instance, I'm a distinguished armed robber, and I'm an Igbo man, and you give me the title of a title that translates into something positive, I represent the opposite of our values. So you're bastardizing that. Now, concerning the list of national honors, I don't know about bastardization. I know that issues can be raised about either the persons or some aspects of the award. But that's why I started by saying it will always depend on who is speaking. If you look at the list and somebody says, oh, Adenuga is a very wealthy man, that's why he got the national honors, the person will be speaking out of ignorance. Because Mike Adenuga is a successful businessman, he's impacted on lives, he's an employer of labor, and not just within but outside of this country. So who is speaking? What's the criteria? Then we can engage.
But how would you rate the system, as not so much as the people, but the system that throws up the people on the list? Would you say that it is transparent enough and everybody knows the criteria? Because that person who says that a certain person might be on the list because the person is wealthy might also be ignorant of how, of what the system, what the criteria is, and that would not be the person's fault, would it?
It would be. As a matter of fact, most commentators respond to what they see before they get adequate information on the subject matter. Others respond with adequate information but with a perspective. I.e., if my party is not the one in power and my party is taking an economic decision, no matter how good it is, I wouldn't be on the front row. And if another party is taking it, no matter how good it is, I wouldn't be on the front row praising it. On the matter of criteria, it is stipulated in the statute setting of the national honors. So it is known. It can be seen and evaluated. We may then look at the list and ask, did A or B or C meet what I'm seeing as stated? So you see that the argument can be enriched. Once contributions are made from the angle of, they say it's only those who have A, B, C, D that deserve this honor. John, Andrew, and Mary don't have it, so I don't think they deserve it. That would be a better way to engage, in my view.
Well, what would you say the criteria is? I doubt that a host of Nigerians are aware.
Okay, no. You had actually raised the matter of whether it's transparent.
Yes.
Transparency would mean that the criteria for choosing the people are known, and that they are not violated behind the scene, and that the standards are not distorted. For me to say so, it will mean I'm part of the process. My supposition is that it will be difficult for that kind of thing to happen at the discretion of just a couple of people. I think it was a committee thing. And when you prune down a list from probably 102,000 to I think 140, isn't that it? Thereabouts. There must be some criteria.
102,000?
I say I'm just supposing.
Okay.
Because clearly you got several thousands of nominations. That's why it's a committee. It's a tedious work that takes months.
But a nomination by who? I mean, the thing is, how clear is the process to the ordinary Nigerian?
Okay.
That's basically what I'm asking.
You know, you can nominate somebody. So can I. We can nominate people. Now, how clear it is to the ordinary Nigerian, I'm not aware it's been routinely advertised. Namely that, oh, these are the criteria for national honor, so Nigerians, please, here it is. No. And I'm also not aware there is a practice to routinely advertise them anywhere. Well, what I would concede to the point you're making is that even among those who ought to know, they seem not to know. Whether it's because it is hidden, because the criteria is a public document, is in a public document, whether it is because it's hidden, which is not true, or because they don't take the trouble to inform themselves and intervene, it's another matter. But I think our discourse can be much richer when people come with data, then with, okay, look at what the law says, specifics.
But you know, even though we don't have access to some of these details as to criteria used to get some of these names on the list, maybe perhaps the word honor, which means maybe someone with some form of personal integrity or someone who's been able to follow some moral principles. The question, or what bothers some people, is how come that lately some Nigerians have turned down such award or honors. If you call them that these are honors, and someone is supposed to be someone who has some kind of integrity, and you're telling him that we have just recognized you as that, and he or she turns it down. A case in point is our dear own Professor Achebe, who has turned it down not once, twice, and well, he says, well, he's still not for it. What do you think that we have reached that stage where a national honor will be turned down by individuals?
No, several reasons, and I'll state about three. One, there are people who don't like honors. Fashola, His Excellency the Governor, only just turned down a chieftaincy title not quite 84 hours ago. Governor Peter Obi of Anambra State has been in office for how many? 7 going to 8 years now. He's consistently turned down all honors or attempts to award him. So it is not a strange thing. The second one is that some people may look at the honor, they are very excited, and they say, John is on the list. But John is not my kind of person. I don't think two of us should be honored simultaneously. I hold such contempt for John that he has brought this honor down, so I won't accept it. For others, it could also be a protest against the nation generally. That, look, things are so bad, I'm not happy, and so what is there to celebrate? All of that in the mix. But I want to move out of that and look at national honors and what has happened to it or them over the years. As you are aware, there are barracks, streets, and all manner of things named after some senior military officers who were recently in national service. If you look at that, we must be able to locate at what point things began to look funnier and funnier by the hour. That you look at those institutions named today, and you compare the profile of the officers against whom they are named with those of other officers who had sat before them, who had in fact made far greater genuine national sacrifice, you chuckle to yourself. For one thing, it was those who gave the honors that gave it to themselves. For another, there was little consultation. So violation of national honors became an issue within a context of very limited consultation. Now that became something we lived with, and a dichotomy came in. There's the fact of national honor, that Chamberlain and his colleagues are such brilliant professional broadcasters that they deserve to be honored. Objective criteria puts them on the table. There's a break-in group that's part of the decision making, but services other interests. And so one or two other names can come apart from the core professionals, and the core professional will say, well, how did this happen? Do you get it? So that when if a political environment where if you look at the list and say everybody on this list doesn't deserve national honors, I will understand that.